What's happening, everybody? It's Blair Johnson with the Badass Records podcast, welcoming you in for another episode. This week, my guest is none other than the lovely Marilee Rose, and we are cranking out episode number 162. You can find Miss Rose's IG content at Marilee Rose 1. That's MARILEE ROSE, the number 1. Also, check out her fantastic photography skills at wildrosephotography.com, and she's got an IG handle for that as well, which is wildrose.photography.kc. Badass Records airs Thursdays on YouTube and where you stream. The socials are Twitter and Instagram if you want to keep tabs on it that way. Everything lives on the website, which is badassrecordspodcast.com. Make sure you check out that merch tab while you're there. Get yourself a coffee mug or a beanie or something else. And if you want to get in touch with me, it's badassrecordspodcast@gmail.com. That's all I got for you. Appreciate you stopping by. Hope you enjoy the show. I think this is going to wind up being episode 162 of Badass Records Podcast. Marker is there as a reminder to have you sign the wall when we're done. I have forgotten a time or two, and so...
All right. I was wondering what that was for.
There you go. Hanging out with Marilee Rose. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Good. Nice to meet you. Thank you for being here. Did somebody snag Marilee Rose on Instagram, and so therefore you had to be Marilee Rose 1? Is that what happened?
No, actually, I am an old school Instagrammer. So back before everybody got it, I had it like in 2011 or something like that when it first came out. And Marilee Rose 1 is just like a stupid username that never meant anything. And at some point, I had thought about changing it like years later, when everyone has like some cool Instagram name. And I'm just like, you know what? Marilee Rose 1. I mean,
there you go.
And what do you, I mean,
yeah.
It doesn't get better than that. So
yeah.
I'm fine with it.
I'm going to embarrass you a little bit and ask you to touch on some of your bio stuff.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So,
that's fair.
Artist.
Mm-hmm. Ever since I was a kid, I have been really into drawing.
Cool.
Yep.
Okay.
I can draw pretty well.
Nice.
Do I practice it as I got older like I should have? No.
Right.
But I could draw a sweet-ass picture for you right now.
Hey.
And I probably will.
Nice.
Because you'll probably want one.
I do. I mean, absolutely.
Yeah. So if you look at my little bio from like 4th grade where they ask you kind of the same questions as student of the week, what do you want to be when you grow up? Artist.
Okay.
It's always been artist.
My next question was going to be, what age did you feel that to be part of your fabric?
Just little.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a picture I actually just saw the other day and screenshotted it because I was like, look, this was me always. Let's see here. Dang it.
What?
I'm like, it's just...
Are you
like I'm on the spot now. So I'm like, oh my God, what if I can't find it fast enough?
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
But no, I just took it. It's just a picture of me drawing as like a little, oh, there it is. It's right there. It's super fast. That's me at like 4.
Oh my God, that's
4 or
so
5.
cute.
So when you say what age?
Yeah.
Always,
All the way back. All the way back.
Always. Yeah. Super into music, art, drawing. I wanted to become a makeup artist.
Okay.
When I got into middle school, I started doing everybody's makeup at school. In high school, I did everybody's makeup for the dances.
Wow.
Yeah. And so then I was like, I'm going to move to California and be makeup for the stars. But I had my daughter young.
Oh, yeah.
And so I didn't. But I did move to Kansas City and become a makeup artist.
From Iola?
Yes.
Okay.
From Iola, Kansas, where I'm from.
Whoa. So one kiddo.
Yes.
And she's grown now?
She is. She's 20.
Okay.
She's 20.
Is she around?
She's in Iola currently.
Okay.
But she is moving to Lawrence this summer.
Oh, wow.
Which I'm super excited about.
Okay.
She's going to start helping us with the Airbnb business.
I don't know what's happening with the lights, but
It's all right.
if we wind up in the dark, that'll be
Yeah.
that'll be fun. Cool. Creator.
So my current endeavor is creating spaces.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think I put that on there way before the Airbnbs even happened.
Oh.
So a creator, creator of experiences.
Cool.
You know,
I love that.
I'm big into travel. So I'm kind of a little travel planner. I'm the one who plans the trips for my friends.
Yeah.
I'm the one who gets everybody together, which I think there's another one on there on the list that coincides with that part.
Yep. I just saw, I mean, this is literally like 6 or 7 years apart for whatever reason, because memes are everywhere. But I saw this meme many years ago, and I just saw it like yesterday. And it's one of my favorites, and it says, every relationship has two people. One person is plan the trip, put it on the calendar, got our passports packed for both of us. Here's the itinerary of the things we're going to do each day and what time we have to leave for the airport and yada yada. And the other person is, cool, thanks. Where are we going again?
My friends are the other one that you're talking about.
Yes. But you 3, 4, 5, 6 times a year we'll go to a spot.
At least 5 or 6.
Okay.
At least.
Nice.
Yeah. Traveling is huge for me.
Are you doing a mix of in the country and out of the country?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
So a couple favorites that.
Mexico keeps coming back. I've been there more than I've been to any other country. We are leaving to go to Tulum here in about 3 to 4 weeks.
Fun.
And I've been there probably like 10 times.
Different
Not
spots?
to Tulum, but yeah, to Mexico.
Yeah.
Just because it's so easy, it's so fast, it's affordable. I love the people there. It's beautiful. It's 84 degrees every time I go, no matter when I go.
Nice.
No, I went there in July one time, and it was hotter than 84. But still, I like the hot weather. It doesn't bother me.
Cool. And is it difficult or easy or somewhere in the middle for you to... you always got to, here are the things that I have to tie up and take care of here at home.
Yes.
So that I can
when I have a
be
trip,
gone.
So that's the thing is when I have a trip planned out a month or two, then I know upcoming that trip, I'm going to be like grinding and getting like as much stuff done as possible, which is what we're doing this month for March.
Okay.
Because we leave the 26th.
Now, in terms of home and pets and these kind of like, do you have a routine and it's thoughtless because you it's muscle memory now, or do you have
you
to
mean
make
because of
tweaks?
my traveling?
Yeah. To leave home behind.
Yeah, I have got some good friends and dog sitters.
Cool.
So they take care of the dogs.
Okay.
So that's no problem. Have you ever used the Rover app?
No, but I've heard of it.
It's great.
Okay.
So we've got a great dog sitter on there, and she used to dog sit Luna, my other dog.
Okay.
And once you find a good one, then you just see if they're available on your trip dates. Otherwise, I met an awesome girl in November of this year, and she just comes to my house and stays.
Heck
so
yeah.
that was nice too, because it's like a little getaway for her too.
Right.
Like she likes staying there.
I bet.
Yeah.
Nice.
So it's kind of like a win-win.
Cool.
But as far as you're back to the question about in and out of the country, like exploring both. We can only do like an international trip probably once a year.
Yeah.
So, 1 year I went to Peru.
Cool.
I've been to Costa Rica.
Pura vida.
Yeah, exactly. Woo.
Yeah.
What's another big one? Thailand.
Oh,
I
wow.
went there a long time ago. I'd love to go back.
What part?
Bangkok for one night too many, because I
Okay.
didn't know. I think I stayed 3 nights in Bangkok, which could have done in 1 to 2.
I mean, there was a song in the 80s, One Night in Bangkok, right?
That was enough.
Yeah. Is it just insane?
It's insane.
Okay.
It is like...
But you feel safe?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Not that I didn't feel safe. It was just think like New York City on steroids. It's just like tons of people, tons of shops, everybody coming at you. The traffic is crazy. It's like lines and lines of people and traffic and mopeds with like whole families on a moped, like 5 kids on a guy, It's a lot. Then we went to Chiang Mai, which is farther up north, like in the forest and the mountains. And I would have definitely wanted to stay an extra day there versus the Bangkok. Yeah.
Pretty?
Yeah.
I bet.
Gorgeous.
Nice.
Like more chill, laid back, like, just village vibe.
Yeah.
And then we went down to some islands like Koh Phi Phi, Koh Lanta,
Okay.
and one other one we stayed at just overnight because I think we missed a boat. Because that's the thing is I'm the travel planner, and like if I've never been somewhere and I don't know the ins and out of the country, and like you have to catch a ferry at this time and all of that, like because I also like to plan 2 nights here, 2 nights here, and like try to get the most.
Sure.
And so sometimes I might make a mistake and like put us somewhere where like, oh, the ferry quit at 5 p.m. and we don't show up till 6 or something like that. So that's happened.
Sure.
The
Fun.
biggest out of country trip lately was Italy for my
Okay.
40th birthday.
Nice.
Yeah. Amazing.
How long were you there?
Oh, I don't know, 9 or 10 days.
Okay.
Not enough.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So back to,
Cool.
yeah, that was
Connector.
that part.
Yes.
About I'm kind of the wheelhouse of all the people. Like I have so many different friend groups.
Yep.
And I tend to like to be the planner. And so, a lot of people are always telling me like, well, life just passes me by and I'm so busy. And I'm like, well, you just got to plan the things. So in my friend group in the last like 10, 15 years, I usually am the one to put things on the calendar, and then everybody shows up, and then everybody loves each other, and then I connect people, and then they have now these side relationships because I did the thing.
Cool.
And introduced them. And
That's fun.
another great thing too is I feel like I'm a good judge of character, and I have a lot of amazing friends, and so even if they don't know each other, they always all get along, and they're all super happy, and
Cool.
so that's fun too because
Yeah.
they're always like, of course I'll come, and you always hang out with the coolest people. So I feel like connector is a good description of me.
Dreamer.
Ooh. I just feel like anything you want in life is likely if you are able to, like, if you can dream it, you can achieve it. Like, I really do believe that. And it's not just like some positive mumbo jumbo stuff. It's like, it's true.
Good.
It's true.
Yeah.
I mean, you probably had the seed of the podcast one day, and you didn't know that you'd be on episode, what number am I?
162.
162.
Yeah.
You didn't think, I'm going to be like 162 episodes deep.
Right.
At whatever time.
Right.
So I really like to dream.
Cool.
And I like to write stuff down because I feel like that really works. And I do like to lift up people too who are kind of feeling down in the dumps about things like this name, this happened, and it's like, I need you to think bigger.
Yeah.
Dream bigger.
Yeah.
You're not stuck here. You just have to decide what you want, because I think that's another thing is people don't really know what they want. They just know they don't want to be here. But the next step, which I think is the next thing, is the manifester. Is getting clear about what it is you actually want.
Yeah.
And it takes a little bit of like solitude, walking in nature, not having distractions, and being like, what is it that I really, really want? And you can dream big.
Yeah.
And then you just have to start taking the steps to achieve it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. It was, I don't know the date, but I know that it was January of 21 when I had that idea, that seed. And it was January 23rd of 22 when I taped episode 1. And so it's like this space existed, but they weren't like legit walls. So I had somebody come demo it and rebuild, make a ceiling, do all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then
Made a studio?
Yeah. And then, this was a door behind my furnace that I cut into thirds and used it. It was framed. It had 2x4s around it. And I used all that to create the support. And I'm not, handy is not in my wheelhouse. So that was, pencil and paper and steps and blah, blah, blah. And then, okay, space is ready. Like, what all do I need gear wise? Trying to teach, I'm a visual learner. Like, put it on the board. I'll take notes. We'll talk about it. That's what sticks it in there.
Me too.
So trying to like, just Google is your base resource to how do I start a podcast, and then, 7 tabs are open and I'm watching videos and all of a sudden I'm like, I don't even remember what I was looking for in the first place. And just, and then I land on, okay, here are the things. I get all the things and it's like, now I got to start over again because I don't know how to use all these things. And it started to, reach that year mark, and I really struggled to get myself out of the way of it's not happening fast enough. Like, who fucking cares, right?
I'm with you. Things take a long time.
So here we are, 3+ years recorded and out there, and I've gotten a lot of places hit me up. Hey, look, you need to be, maximize your SEO, and here's how you're going to grow, and this, that, and the other. And people that want to come on it, and it's like, there isn't a thing that I'm trying to sell, really.
Right.
Like, I do have a merch line on the website, so there are things you can buy, but that's not the point. And I'm not trying to, this isn't like B2B and all these other business terms. And it just,
I love that. It's natural. You're like, I'm doing this to make it, not
just
because
is what
I'm
it is.
trying
Yeah.
to get somewhere with
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
So, once, twice, sometimes more a week, bam, here's somebody being like, here are the things that you're not doing well. And we've crafted a whole and like website with all of my shit in there. Like, if
Right.
you move over to us, XYZ, it's like, what do you know? This is the way that it is fine.
But my question is, what if you could make enough money on it to quit your job?
Well, that would be cool, but I mean, almost exclusively KC-based folks, like, and no virtual, right? So there's automatically there's a ceiling, because
No, there's no ceiling. Whatever you want it to be.
fair.
Maybe you only want it to be local. I mean,
No, I mean, I've traveled to a few folks. I've had a couple folks from out of town do it, but it's not. I've kind of said from day one, like, we're not gonna like shoot this thing full of steroids or something fake. It's got to be what it is, and if there's growth out of that, cool. If there's not, I still enjoy it, and most folks that come and do it say they do as well.
right.
So it takes some time after the fact to get it all ready and out.
Right.
So if there was a way to make that like the job quitting thing, that would be awesome, but I'm not. And so the fourth thing, when you asked me about starting this, I play hockey on Wednesdays. I've got my kiddos Sunday, Monday, Thursday, Friday. So I play hockey on Wednesday nights. I offer Tuesdays and Saturdays for interviews. And therefore, like, chunks of the, not trying to be depressing in saying this, but chunks of the solitude are filled or covered with interactions with folks. So that was kind of, because they leave Friday and they come back Sunday, so that's kind of a quick turnaround. But during like right now, they leave Tuesday morning for school and aren't back till Thursday night. So it's
That's your free time.
it's my free time, but it's also coming home to a quiet house is it's still a skill that I'm working on, right? Like, there's nothing more soothing in the world to me than having them asleep in their beds here. Like, I just really like, so when they're not here, I'm like operating on a different frequency, sort of.
Yeah,
So-
I understand. When my daughter Sailor was little, it was the same. She went to her dad's every weekend. So on the weekends, I was out. I never stayed home.
Right.
Never.
Yeah. Yeah.
Filling my time.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm sorry, I didn't put the Airbnb details in my notes, but do you want to share a little bit about that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
For sure.
Okay. There's
Like,
there's
what
an
do you-
IG or a website or what's the
I
best?
haven't started an Instagram yet for my Airbnbs. But this next project that we have coming up this summer definitely is going to be Instagram worthy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
And I don't know if I should say too much because you know how things are.
no,
Like,
save it until you feel right about it.
Yeah.
What about website?
That will also be coming.
Okay.
With the new project. But there is obviously an Airbnb link to the properties that currently we are
on Marilee Rose 1. There's a link.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool.
Yes. So in the bio, it does say book my country getaway here.
Right.
A link to the Airbnb.
Cool.
And that's just one. From there, you can click on profile of the host, and it'll say all my other properties.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, outsourcing the cleaning, when you factor that in, it's still profitable in a way that makes you guys feel good about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fun.
I will say, cleaning part is hard because no one is ever going to care as much as you do.
Right.
But luckily for us, because we've got 2 different areas where we have them. We've got a couple good cleaners here and a couple good cleaners here, and they pretty much take care of it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Any issues, like anything crazy that really stands out that you've come across? Because you've been doing it for a couple of 3 years now.
Yeah, it'll be 3 years this summer.
Like I had one, and it was fine-ish, but
You mean horror stories?
well, so like I was gonna go. I mean, I did go to St. Louis to see a comedy show when I was married, and my wife at the time booked it. And then I don't know if I was communicating with the person or if it was when I got there and I was trying to find, but they were like, wait a minute, you're a dude and a female booked this. That is 1,000% unacceptable. And I was like, huh? Because it was like rooms in a home that mostly students rented. And they're like, you can't show up as a different gender.
Well, I mean, maybe she didn't put you on the reservation because you're supposed to put how many people are in the reservation.
But the person, it took some, convincing and some good grace extended.
Was she there too?
No, I went solo.
Oh,
I went solo.
She booked it for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she probably should have mentioned that.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't really make a big stink about stuff like that.
Right. And then I got hammered and my phone died and I couldn't find.
Oh.
Like I still don't know I think I got in an Uber somehow, like made my way back to the place, and then my phone died again. I slept through all of my alarms and her calling, and then the person was like hollering from downstairs, like.
So you were the Airbnb horror story.
Well, I kind of in 2 ways for the same stay.
Yeah.
And they were like, dude, it's 1.
Yeah,
Checkout time was 11.
That is a
I was like,
no-no.
I'm gathering my
That's
shit,
a big
man.
no-no.
So, but folks show up and the cleaner's still there, or folks take stuff or trash your place, or.
So let's just say this. Out of 100% of stays, I would say 90% of them are going to be amazing.
Okay.
I would say 10%, 5% is going to be like, stupid stuff. And then 5% is going to be like, yeah, they trashed it, or they stole something. But that's the thing, is we can't run our business based on the 5%.
Right.
Even though it really pisses me off when something like that happens, and I'm like, well, I'm going to make all these rules. And it's like, no, most people aren't like that.
Right.
And so we just we let it go. We just let the little stuff go.
Good.
Yeah.
So, and then budding photographer. So
that's part of the artist.
wildrosephotography.com, and then wildrose.photography.kc on Instagram.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
On the website, Self-Love Sessions plus Boudoir. Is the R silent in that?
Boudoir. Yeah.
Boudoir. Self-Love Sessions, Boudoir, portraits, and food.
So this is all changing in motion. I've been taking pictures since I was little. Like, we're talking 12, 13. I've always had a camera.
Okay.
So, you talked about that meme earlier about, like this person does the travel and this person's like, okay. So my friend sent me one earlier because she knows this is how it is. And it's like a meme of a girl getting all the picture right, perfect. And the other friend just sitting there drinking her wine. And it's like me waiting for my friend who's going to do a great job so I can just repost it. So she knows that that's me. I'm the one that like, so I've always taken pictures. I've always had lots of photos. I've taken photos of all my friends over the years. And at some point I was like, you know what? I'm ready to get paid for this.
Cool.
Yeah. And so I started a little photography business in probably, I think it was 2021-ish. And I started doing the boudoir, but things in my life changed, and you know how that is. You know, you think you're going to do something and you do something completely different because it just life switches around. And more recently, I've been doing a lot of real estate photography, especially since I got into the Airbnb space. I've taken all the photos for the Airbnbs, and having professional pictures on Airbnb is going to set you apart definitely on the listing.
Yeah.
How many times have you looked at Airbnb and they had ugly photos and you're like, next, you don't even, you know, and then you see one that's like, whoa, like looks amazing. You're like, that's the one.
Yeah.
So,
well, whether you realize it or not, you might, if they post, even if it's a mediocre photo, you might go in your mind, that makes me wonder if the place is clean or if the people are trustworthy.
Or if they just don't have any style.
Right.
And you're seeing like quilts from the 80s or 90s and you're like, I don't want to stay. If I can pick where I want to stay, I want to stay somewhere cool.
Right. Yeah.
So, I've went away. I haven't done any boudoir photography in a long time.
Okay.
For a couple years. I think once I switched to Airbnb stuff, it's been pretty much all real estate. Well, I've taken several senior photos.
Okay.
But other than that, and I never wanted to. So one other thing, after I decided that, I did an internship at a photography studio.
Cool.
Shout out to Matt Nichols. He's awesome.
That name sounds familiar for some reason.
Matt Nichols. I interned with him for, 3, 4, 5 months, and I learned a lot. I went on shoots with him. He had a studio, so we had a lot of people coming in. And it's a lot of sitting at your computer and editing, and that's just not for me. Like, I like editing fine. I just don't want to edit thousands of photos on a computer all day. I am the one who likes to get out there and shoot them and maybe edit like 100. So the real estate's kind of perfect, because I can go and get it done. I don't have any bridezillas or anything. I'm not going to screw up your big day because, you know.
That's my, consistently my biggest hurdle is the editing process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, you know, basically, it's not always the case, but more or less, however long our conversation is, times 3 on the backside. And I'm manually cutting between the two cameras, and then I got to put, you know.
That's what stopped me from being a real photographer.
So if there was a monetization scenario where I could, like, find a person and say, if you want to do the editing for this, here's what I can pay you.
Thank you.
Then great. And so, but, you know, if I manage my time appropriately, and this is an area I need to improve on a lot, because a lot of my daughter's homework requires this. And, you know, so on nights that they're here, if she's doing that until 11, and now it's like, well, shit, the night is...
She doesn't have her own for school, though? I thought schools, like, give them laptops now.
They give them, like, Chromebooks.
Oh, Chromebooks, okay.
But they don't bring them home. They stay at school. Yeah.
I always.
And there's a couple of tablets in the house that she could do her stuff, but she doesn't like it as much. So
you better start getting paid.
But yeah, point being, the editing is very, and if it's sometimes like right now, I don't have a whole heck of a lot of backlog, but recently I did.
Oh, yeah. Lisa told me that she did hers in this time and it was out months later. And so I'm wondering, how long will it be?
Like, you know? That is a situation where, you know, I'll pull up Lisa's and it's been 2 months or 2.5 months or whatever, and a lot of it's not fresh anymore. So not only am I observing the conversation instead of being a part of it, which is fun, but a lot of the stuff is funny, refreshing. Oh yeah, I remember. There's a lot of cool pieces about it. If it's not a terribly exciting conversation, then getting through the editing is even. It's like fuck. Because then I'll be checking I'm like doing different shit. Like, no, you have to fucking focus.
Right. Well, so that's what I was wondering about. Like, if you were to be able to monetize it a little bit, you would get to, like me, you would get to do the fun part of shooting the episodes, and somebody else would take on the part of editing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
one day,
yeah.
One day.
And I think it's going to get there because 160 some episodes, I mean, that's already like.
Thanks. I didn't know this until somewhere in the 70s that a person said, do you know how long the average podcast lasts? And I was like, no. And he said, well, if you think about all of them out there to the ones that are,
10, 20 episodes maybe?
I think it's like 6, so anyway.
It's a thing people start and then they fall off.
Yep. And you see, shit like dude with sign. Like, enough with all the podcasts.
Yeah, you don't need to start a podcast. I know. Okay, so this is like a pet peeve of mine too. Every single person I talk to are like, oh yeah, Airbnb. I want to do Airbnb. And it's just like, do you really? You just, you think you do. And it's just like everyone saying, oh, you have a podcast? I'm going to start a podcast. Yeah. And it's like, no, you're not.
Yeah. Or, oh, I didn't know you had a podcast. I'd love to come do it. And then you hit them up and they're like,
oh, I see. Yeah. No, music is like my life, my world.
Cool.
I used to joke around and say music is my boyfriend because that's an actual song.
So you showed me the picture of you as a 4 or 5-year-old drawing. Mm-hmm. The love for taking pictures crops up a little bit later than that, or kind of around that time too?
No, it was later because I probably didn't know anything about cameras back then. When I was in middle school, my brother was in high school, and he actually is a photographer, videographer person. So, he was just always having a camera too. And he had a video camera, and so he actually got a lot of crazy shit on video and film growing up.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because my brother's an artist as well.
Nice. Just the two of you?
No, there's
Sibling?
4 of us.
4? Okay.
Yeah, and actually we are all very artistically inclined.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Must be some good genes in
there
old
is
mom and dad.
Something. Yeah. My older sister, she went through a phase where she was making homemade cards. So, like, she was cutting out construction paper of, like, little people and, like, sending them to you, like, and having cute messages on them all the time.
Cool.
My little sister, she, like, is, like, a tinkerer. Like, she goes and gets all kinds of crazy beads and spoons and makes weird metal, like, wind chimes.
Huh. Nice.
She makes all kinds of stuff.
Cool.
I mean, is it put together with, like, material and a glue gun? Yes. But still, she's artistic. And my brother in high school, he also was into making movies, painting, photography.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm kind of the same way.
So what are you shooting with?
Currently, I have a Sony A7 III.
Okay.
And it's a really good movie quality camera because I wanted to be able to do video on it as well. But even other than that, it's just a great camera for low light. And
is this exclusively digital? You don't do any darkroom?
I mean, I did that stuff back then.
Yeah.
But,
okay.
You can't even, where can you even get your film developed anymore?
I don't know. CVS or Walgreens still do it?
I don't know.
Me either.
I don't think so.
And
you
so
go in and plug your phone into a computer screen now.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
So how busy are you with, like, how much of the pie of your time is photography?
Not that much. Not that much.
Okay.
But speaking of that, I did, we did buy a domain a month ago or so, because my Wild Rose photography website is a bunch of scantily clad women. And if I'm going to be now marketing to real estate agents, I want to have a different website. So I got a different domain.
Okay.
And we haven't put up a website yet, but I have the domain for, like, I can't even remember what it's called.
Okay.
Something like KC photo, Rose photo KC,
okay.
or something like that. Because
cool.
I just like to keep the Rose in the name. So my first Airbnb is called Rose Ranch.
Nice.
So everyone knows it as Rose Ranch. It's just what it is.
Yeah.
The lodge next door we're making into like a country western, like Hunter's Lodge. So it's called, why am I blanking on this? This is so funny. Rosewood Lodge.
There you go. That's a cool
Rosewood.
name.
Yeah. And then photography was Wild Rose. Photography, Casey. I've had actually a lot of businesses. I've been an entrepreneur for a really long time. I sold life and health insurance one time, and it was Prairie Rose Insurance.
Funny.
Yeah.
So this
Makeup by Marilee Rose.
Nice.
That's another one.
So this feeling as a real young kiddo about drawing and always being drawing, and then later the photography love sort of starts to blossom. Was there a moment where you're like, I'm gonna do this as a passion project or a business idea, or it's gonna be part of what I do? Was there a moment that led you to that?
You mean when I decided to actually like try to make a business out of photography?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What was it?
It was after 2020, I guess. It was like 2021, and I was like, I'm ready to go all in on my hopes and dreams, type
Dreamer.
deal. Yeah. And things change.
Yeah.
So you haven't asked me this, but I actually did a lot of hospitality throughout my 20s. I was a bartender and a server for many years. And so...
Where?
Everywhere.
Okay.
Literally everywhere.
Okay.
And I did a ton of bartending weddings.
Fun.
And so that's kind of my new niche, is like the Airbnb stuff, because I've been in the hospitality industry for so long, like in the service industry, I guess, being a makeup artist.
Synonymous.
I went to school for aesthetics, so I was an esthetician for a while. So I'm good with people. So that's like what I do.
Yeah. And
I know and I travel a bunch. So I know what it takes to make a good environment. So creator of environments is what I am now. And I just use the photography to market it, basically.
All right.
That's where I'm at.
Cool.
Yeah. I'm not trying to really be a photographer.
I see.
I just am one.
Right.
But it's not what I'm trying to make my money at.
Right.
I'm trying to create experiences for people to come and enjoy.
So here's the Marilee real estate photography lane over here. Mm-hmm. But I mean, if folks reach out to you right now and said, I want to do a self-love session or boudoir or whatever, that's still on the table.
It.
Okay.
Yeah, I would
okay.
do it for sure. Yeah.
Right on. I'm on Instagram plenty, but I'm still something of a novice, especially compared to somebody that's been on it since 2011. Mm-hmm. What is the so your stuff's up here, and then your grid or whatever, your top first 9. In the middle, there's like
the story highlights.
Story highlight. Like I saw one that was like BTS
behind the scenes.
Yes, and there was a few others. What is that? What is that? What it is?
Story. Do you ever watch people's stories?
I do, but up here.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Not much.
So they go away. They're 24 hours.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And so if you see something really cool on a story, but they didn't post it on their main page, you'll never see it again. So to do story highlights is you being able to go back in your archive of every story you've ever posted and posting it to the top of the page permanently.
No shit.
That's what that is.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be the whole story. It can be just a clip.
Well, the clips are only, what are they, 30 seconds anyway.
Right.
Yeah. So, but you can have a highlight of like 20 or 30 stories though. So like I have one on my personal page that says Italy. Okay. So all the stories I posted while I was in Italy, because I'm not going to make a post for every single thing I do.
Right.
But I could have a highlight that keeps them.
Stories go away after 18 hours or whatever it is, but you as the poster can always can find them? Mm-hmm. Oh. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yep. Learn something new every day.
Yeah.
Born and raised in Iowa? No. I was
born in Las Vegas.
Born in Vegas?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And how long were you there?
I went to kindergarten there.
Okay.
And then we moved to small town Kansas.
Okay.
Because my grandmother won the lottery, actually, in California. Her and her husband at the time, he was getting ready to retire, and he was like, oh, I've always wanted a cow farm. And then her, like, half-sister, cousin, lady person was in La Harpe, Kansas, of all places in the world at that time. I was like, oh, you guys should just come out here. And so she moved there, bought 100 acres, got black Angus cows. You know, my family, for whatever reason, decided to move next door to her in La Harpe, Kansas. And so I was there first grade through, I don't know, fifth, sixth. And then, you know, things happened. And in seventh grade, I started moving around. We went to Vegas for a winter. I moved to Montana, Hamilton, Montana, when I was in eighth grade, back to Iola. And then in 10th grade, I moved to California for a while on my own. Not on my own. I went to go stay with a friend. I went to stay with a friend when I was 16 in California, who I met in eighth grade when I lived in Montana.
What a trip.
Because her and her dad moved to California.
Okay.
And
you
we just
did
became
this
besties.
with the blessings of whoever's.
Yeah, my mom was very lax, very like, do whatever you want. I mean, that's a whole other story.
Yeah.
And so I remember living in California and opening up the mail and getting like a $30 check every week.
$30?
$30.
Okay.
I mean, what did I need? I was 16.
Yeah.
I went to school and her dad was never home, so we were just kind of on our own in Cali, living the life.
Yeah.
Got my first boyfriend there.
And Casey becomes home when?
So moved back to Kansas, you know, the end of the school year, because it's like I can't stay there with other people's parents. And so then from then on, it's like my dream to become a makeup artist and move to California after I graduate high school.
Oh, yeah.
So I go at 11th and 12th grade in Kansas. My senior year, I buy a car, and my car payment's like $330 a month or something like that. Yeah, this is back in like 2002.
Who can afford that as a senior?
Me. I'm a balla.
I love it.
Yeah. So after high school, I started working full time at the candy factory.
Okay.
And right off the bat, it was like overtime, like 6 days. And so I've always been a really hard worker. I've always worked. I mean, I started serving tables when I was 14. In high school, I worked at China Palace. I worked at Pizza Hut. I worked at the grocery store. So, yeah, I mean, I've always been making money.
Yeah.
So that's how.
Nice.
So then I was like, oh, man, my car payment, that's too high. I'm not going to, it's expensive to live in California. I can't have a car payment in California. I better pay this car off first. And so then after high school, I'm moving with a girlfriend. And then my boyfriend at the time was like, oh, let me live with you guys too, please. You know, I'll pay all the utilities or whatever. Okay, fine. And then, you know, boom, I'm pregnant.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I got pregnant at 19. Well, no, I guess I was 20 because I had her 6 weeks before my 21st birthday.
Okay.
So I got pregnant with her in like probably November, and then I had her in August.
Okay.
And then I turned 21 in October. And
Wow.
so then I had a baby. And
Yeah.
so then I lived there in Iola for a couple more years, and then I was like, I'm going to kill myself if I keep living here. And I decided to move to Kansas City.
I love black Angus cows, but not that much.
Yeah, like, ugh. So, a friend of mine from high school had moved to Kansas City already, and she had a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment. She lived with her boyfriend, and she's like, yeah, you can come stay with me. And
with your baby.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good
well,
friend.
so her dad also decided to move to Kansas City at the same time as me. So we shared her half and half.
Okay.
So he might have her a few days, I might have her a few days, and we were both taking her to the same daycare.
Right on.
And I got a job bartending, of course, at Granite City and Legends.
Yeah.
If you remember that way back then. Do you remember when they made Legends like a bunch of bars? Remember, it was like Corona Cantina. It was like a club, and like, okay,
No.
I worked at all those places, and then
Okay.
I went to school for aesthetics, and then so yeah, home in Kansas City. I don't know what year. I was 23, turning 24.
Okay.
When I moved there, and I'm 41, so 17 years I've been
Yeah.
here. So I call Kansas City home.
Sure.
If I'm out of town, it's like, where are you from? Kansas City.
Yeah, same.
Because I mean, I say I grew up here because I did essentially.
Yeah. And then there's the 3 siblings, 4 of you total. Where are you in the...
So
Pecking order.
Angie, she's gonna be 50 this year.
Okay.
Crazy. That's insane.
Yeah.
It doesn't even make any sense.
I just did that a couple months ago.
Wow. Congratulations.
Now it's like, I mean.
Exactly. You don't look that at all.
51. Just like, all right,
yes,
it just keeps going.
Yes, I know. I'll be 42. So, yeah. So there's 8 years between us.
Okay.
And then, so it goes Angie, James, my brother, which he's just turned 45.
Okay.
So it's 4 years between them, 4 years between me and him, and then 22 months between me and my little sister.
Okay.
So I'm the third youngest.
Right on. Right on.
Yeah.
Any idea how mom and dad met?
I just got my mom's life story like a month ago, and I
Are you
recorded it for like an hour. Yeah.
Wow.
Because she started talking, because I was asking her questions. I was like, you know what? I'm going to record this. So I recorded it. I have an hour of my mom talking.
Just like a voice note or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
And her parents divorced when she was however old, I don't know, somewhere between 12 and 14 or something. And then she was back and forth, and she ended up going living with her dad. And I don't know if he was in Vegas at the time. It must have been, because my parents got married in Vegas at 17 and had my older sister at 18.
Okay.
And I think she was just out and about. Like, she always talks about, like, whatever boulevard, and like my mom's like stuck in the 70s. Like, she just thinks about old times.
Sure.
You know, the good times.
Yep.
But yeah, no, they were young.
Yeah.
They were like 16.
So were you being raised under her roof, or did they stay together? Like, what's their...
So they ended up being married for like 20 years.
Damn.
Yeah. And had all of us 4 kids.
Okay.
But my dad was like a drug dealer, addict person when we lived in Vegas. He was really bad. And we moved to Kansas, and he got clean for like a few years. He went to rehab. But then at some point, I think when I was 11 or so, he relapsed, and he kind of went off the deep end, and he died when I was 12. Yeah, from drug and alcohol overdose. So when I say, you know, growing up, I had it like lax. Well, you know, 13, 14 and up, my mom she had been tied down with him for 20 years and raising all these kids. And so she kind of went off the deep end and did her own thing.
Sure.
So, I mean, I lived a crazy, crazy life.
It sounds like it.
Yeah.
Were they people that put on music to listen to in the home when you were little? Do you have
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
What were they into?
I remember.
Or what do you remember hearing?
I remember my dad playing Jethro Tull album really loud. Okay. I remember, you know, that North to Alaska, going north, the rush is on. It's just like old country.
Okay.
Think like Hank Williams Jr. Or no, wait, Hank Williams, not Jr. Whoever sings that North to Alaska song, I think it's Johnny Horton, maybe. Okay. Something like that. So that song reminds me of my dad. My mom was really into Motown. Okay. So I listened to a lot of Motown growing up, you know, like Diana Ross, Supremes, all of those, you know, all those songs. Yeah. And then I put my number 1 album. I don't know how you do the album thing. Like, we'll get to it. Okay. Yeah. So I did listen to a lot of oldies. Cool. Same. So 50s, 60s. Plus Motown, little disco, little old school country. And then the song that reminds me of my mom is called Whiter Shade of Pale. Procol Harum. Yes. So she used to play that over and over again. My mom would get on a kick with a song and play it over and over again. Nice. Mm-hmm. Nice. Yeah, it's a beautiful song. I think Robin Trower is in, or was in Procol Harum, and then had a quasi-successful solo career as a guitarist, and I don't know if he did vocals, but plus my sister, she's 8 years older than me. Oh yeah. So imagine living in Vegas, being a 3, 4, 5-year-old in the 80s, sending all my love, like Lanier and Whitney Houston album. We had the Whitney Houston record. The song I put on my list that reminds me of my sister is Steelheart. Okay. Never Let You Go. Oh my God. Yeah. So
I'm glad
She had that CD when I was little.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did at one point have the cassette. I don't know that I still do. But I went with the five that I got recently.
So you're asking about the history of the music.
Yes.
That's why I had to touch on these. But like,
Gotcha. Okay.
you made me pick, so I had to pick.
Fair. I just wanted to make sure we're moving in the direction of the same.
Yes.
First, again, not to your list yet, but the concept of the album is another reason why I like doing this, because it's not the same as it once was, in that you can make a record in your basement and put it on Bandcamp, and some folks believe in just dropping singles and having, an actual whatever vinyl, cassette, CD, where you have art and liner notes
I
and
remember
lyrics
that.
and
The
all.
CDs with
So,
the art, yeah.
aside from the list that you shared with me, is there an album that wasn't necessarily something that was of mom and dad's collection or preferences? Is there an album that you first fell in love with or borrowed or bought with your own money that you can recall?
Well, one of them's on the list.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It's Everclear.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, okay, so let's talk about the very first CD that I ever bought.
Yes,
that we ever had. It was Lion King soundtrack.
Nice.
So you're talking like 90s.
Yep.
Lion King. I'm probably 11, 12 maybe, I don't know. And so I knew every song on the Lion King soundtrack. And then once, I got into middle school and my dad died, I actually did something really terrible that my mom was like, don't you feel bad about doing that? Like, remember back in the day when you'd get those BMG and the lists of the CDs you could check off and send them in, and they give them to you for like a cent or like for free.
Yep.
And so they came in my dad's name, so I just filled out and got a bunch of CDs.
Yeah.
I don't know if I ever paid, but
I mean, I had 2 or 3, so it's like I think I used my name on one and fake names for the others.
oh, see, funny.
Yeah,
Fake names. I didn't. So
That's not me.
yeah, Everclear Sparkling Fade. It's on the list just because it is so like the first CD.
Cool.
And did you listen to it? Like the very first song is like, just goes hard.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember being in my little trailer, and I would stay up and talk to my friends on the phone in middle school till like 2 or 3 in the morning on school nights. Nobody cared.
Yep.
And then I would hit play. Well, I guess it was a CD. So I'd hit play, and it'd be like, yeah, and then I'd be like, and it's just funny to me that I did that.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But the other CDs were No Doubt, Tragic Kingdom,
I have to just
Sublime.
make sure this is not my
Okay.
daughter.
Oh, you're good.
She, 10 after 5, she called and was like, I think somebody's in the house. Can you come over? And because her mom and brother are out in KCK for hoops, and so she's home alone doing homework. And I was like,
In the house here?
no, at the end of the block.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, I am trying to get I'll be right there.
Okay.
And so I ran over there and blah blah blah, and I said, call if you need something. I'm not going to reply to a text, but call if you need something. So anyway.
Okay, gotcha.
Other CDs. I think
Oh,
is
yeah.
where I interrupted.
Yeah. No Doubt, Sublime, Violent Femmes was in that first batch.
Okay.
So
Cool.
those were ones that,
Concerts. Any early or first concert
yeah.
memories?
My first concert was Oasis.
Okay. How was that?
Amazing.
Did you
It was
go-
in Lawrence, actually.
Where?
Liberty Hall.
Nice.
I think. Blink 182
Okay.
was a huge thing. I saw them a couple different times. I saw them once in Lawrence and then once in San Francisco when I lived in California when I was
Cool.
16. Yeah.
I saw a show just a couple years ago up in the balcony at Liberty Hall. Super, super tiny.
I haven't been there in forever.
I hadn't been
wouldn't
there
even
in 20
remember.
plus years. I mean, I'm telling you, like, I'm a small framed human. Like, my knees were up against the back of the chair in front of me, and everybody else that was with me had their legs over the backs of the seat. It's like it was made when humans were small.
Right.
Like, it's wild.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
When humans were smaller.
Yeah.
Another one that my mom hated that I listened to a lot when we were living in Vegas was Tori Amos.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a big Tori Amos
Why'd she
fan.
hate it?
Because my mom is really like into like stuff with a beat,
Okay.
you know?
Yeah.
And so
Motown. Yeah.
so at that time she was super into like Bone Thugs and Harmony and Coolio, and that was before I started liking rap, and I like, fuck you, mom, stop listening to that. Like, I was mad about it. Like, your stupid rap music. But now, I mean, gosh, rap's my favorite. But she didn't like how Tori was like, you know how it is.
Yeah.
The piano and
Yep.
just really off the wall kind of tunes. My mom just hated it.
I bet.
Yeah.
Well, again, thanks for being here, and thanks for sharing your list with me and all of your thoughts and albums along the way. I do just roll through them in order of release, if that works for you.
That works for me because that's how I listed them.
Cool. So we go to 1964 with the very best of the Everly Brothers. 21 studio albums, 75 singles, 29 compilations. This is one of those, and it's got 12 songs, 29 minutes. I learned they have a mix of Kentucky, Illinois, and Tennessee in their upbringings. Tell me your discovery story of them and why this one earns a spot on Marilee Rose's list.
Well, having memories from a very, very young age, like we're talking, I don't even know, 2, 3, 4 years old. I don't have a ton, but for some reason, a memory that stands out in my mind is being in this, we lived in a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom house in Vegas, and like all 4 kids shared one room with like a bunch of beds in it. And my dad had his den because, he was a drug dealer and he just hung out in his den and did drugs. And then my parents' room. And I remember it being dark in that bedroom and my mom putting on the record player. And I don't know if this is even correct, how I'm remembering it.
Sure.
Was there a record player in our bedroom? I don't know. I just remember being in my bed, what felt like the bedroom, and her putting on the record of Everly Brothers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that's one reason. Another reason is because I love these songs. Like, I love Bye Bye Love. It's just so good. It's so good. It's so romantic. I'm very like nostalgic and into romance. So I like love songs and they're upbeat. When I was really young, All I Have to Do Is Dream. That was like, I had a crush on this lady who was testing me for gifted in like 2nd or 3rd grade. And that song, I remember being like, and it's not, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not into girls like that. But when I was little, I think I just really admired her. And I came from such like a broken, crappy place.
Seeking
like
connection.
Yeah, school was kind of like where I thrived. Like, I was an A student. Like, I was in the honor roll, straight A's every single 9 weeks for like 5 years, like 1st grade through 5th grade.
Nice.
And I was a teacher's pet, and so those songs, I don't know, just memories and, positivity, romantic, I don't know.
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you mentioned that, though, about the questioning of if the memory is accurate.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been kind of recently here in the last, 3 or 4 years, feel like I toted around my collection of memories with like immeasurable confidence. Like, if you want, I'll get them all out and tell you the story. So I know this is 100% fact. And then I read something one day. I've started to like question a couple things. Find yourself retelling a story and somebody's like, that was in Vegas, not can't. And you're like, and then you're like, well, fuck, I don't know what's, and then I read something that said every time you recall a memory, that recollection then becomes the memory. And I was like, well, what about the thing that was right before it? Now it's gone. And so now it's like, now I don't fucking know anything. Like, I
heard the same thing.
I swear.
We don't know if our memories are accurate.
I don't, 30, 35, 40 years, I was like, these are the ages my sister and I were when our parents split. And then you one day just randomly sit down and like kind of doing the timeline of when they got together, when I was born, when people moved here, and it's like actually it's kind of a 3-year window at best. Like maybe I was 5, maybe I was, who knows? But and then floodgates can come pretty quickly if you are open to.
Well, that's one reason why I want to interview my mom.
Okay.
And get all that stuff on tape.
Right.
Just because I'm like, what do I really know?
Yeah.
And if my mom's gone at some point, I'm not going to be able to ask her.
Yeah.
So I want to record this stuff.
How did she? Was that premeditated? Was it organic?
No, it was organic.
Okay,
for sure.
Did like once the juices are flowing, she was cool with it and she knew you were recording?
Oh yeah.
Nice. And so like how do you preserve that? Like
I don't know. I haven't even listened to it.
You said is it an hour?
It's a whole hour.
How old is it? You said a month?
Within the last 2 months,
Oh, 2 months, okay. Are you just waiting for that moment that says, all right, now I feel like listening? Okay.
Exactly.
And then from there, I'm sure.
Because I already heard it, so I don't feel the need to re-listen right away. I'm not like trying to make something out of it, like you do. So I think it's just on history, but you're right. I probably should preserve it. I probably should send it to my family so that everyone has it or something like that.
Or at least email it to yourself or something.
That's true.
Something happens to your phone, it's not
right.
gone.
You're right.
This was a very, I liked listening to this for all the reasons that you listed. I kind of couldn't, and I know that music has been a lot more formulaic in the past and has looked different than it does today. But I really could not get past how close the run times are for each track to each other. Like it's like 225, 223, 220, 219. I'm like, they're just like
cranking them out.
They know, like so here's the kernel of the song, and we're gonna flesh it out exactly this much, and then that song's over, and move on. It's like so crazy.
That's probably another reason why I like it, is because I'm kind of like I can't sit in one place for too long. So to have songs that are short, I kind of actually really like that.
There you go.
Because I'm like, I've had friends tell me before, if you skip the next song again, because I'll wait till like 3 minutes and I'm like, skip. Like, we've already heard enough of it. I want to move to the next one. And some people are like, I really want to hear the entire song. And I'm just like, keep moving. So that I'm glad you brought that point up, because I would have never even thought of that.
Yeah.
You're right. It says 224. 219, 224.
Yeah.
223, 221.
And I don't believe that I don't know, but I don't believe that they were like aiming for a specific minute and second count. But I bet that just the songwriting process, that's how it was. It's like, I got here's a tone and a message, and here are the lyrics and the instrumentation, and boom, that's the song, and on to the next. But that was fun. I was glad that you started off with that. And it also was interesting. We've got this and your last as a bookend, and the other three kind of live bam, bam, bam in the same
I know.
time.
I did notice that they were like all 90s, besides the front and the back.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So 30-year leap forward from 64 to 94 with No Need to Argue.
Yeah.
The Cranberries, second of 8, 13 songs, 51 minutes. We go from a middle America hodgepodge with the Everclear Brothers to Limerick, Ireland. There was a TikTok trend going around a month or so ago, or at least that's when I was seeing it, where tons of folks were covering Linger.
Probably because of Royal Otis. Because Royal Otis put out a cover of Linger.
Royal Otis.
Yeah, and it was amazing.
Who's that?
It was awesome. That's how I found them.
But who is Royal Otis?
They're just a local or current band.
A current band. Okay.
A current band.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think they did such a good job, and it was so awesome that maybe that's why people started covering it a whole bunch.
I mean, I've
Because
seen
it resurged.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So somewhere along the way, I think in an early episode, I read that really successful albums, especially for a younger or just getting started or an up and coming artist, like they might put out this album and folks like it, so the sales for the next album are bigger, even if it in hindsight doesn't turn out to be their best work. But it's like folks like this thing, so they buy the thing that comes after it. And so I was just curious. Linger is the year before and comes out, or the track Linger is from the album that they put out the year before. Everybody else is doing it, so why can't we? Did you know that one and then buy this one because of it, or did you find this a different way?
This is, again, you released it as 1994. I'm still young here. My older sister. This is.
Oh yeah.
This is a whole nother twist in everything that you don't know. Even though I came from a really super dysfunctional background and shit was crazy, my mom started going to church, and we actually were Jehovah's Witnesses.
Whoa.
Which is a whole nother can of worms,
Yeah.
And so I grew up being a Jehovah's Witness and going to meetings and only hanging out with like witness kids, where there was like no R-rated movies and no cussing and no sex before marriage, and like we grew up very wholesome, even though we were in this crazy dysfunctional family. Point being is, my older sister there was like a group of kids in the 90s, and we would all hang out.
Okay.
And they were ranging between like 22 to my age of like 12.
Okay.
So 12 to that range, and it's like all these teenagers, young adults, and so we were obsessed with music.
Nice.
So that's when we went to Oasis, and so it was like we get big groups of people. Imagine living in Iola, Kansas, and driving to Kansas City, oh, we're stopping at the old spaghetti factory.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Wow.
and then we're going to see, the Cranberries or Oasis or Everclear or Weezer or.
You're going to these shows knowing a portion of the artists.
Well, all we did was listen to music.
Yeah.
We'd get together and we'd go to church on Thursday nights, but somebody would record Friends, Seinfeld, and ER.
Okay.
And so then after that, we would all come together and we all lay in a big cuddle puddle in like the living room of like the 22-year-old's house, because they're old enough to have their own house.
Right.
And that was my life. But point being is Cranberries was really big in that time in my life. And my sister, Angie, she's the one who was also a Cranberries fanatic, along with some other people. And so I loved them too.
Yeah.
So I don't know the answer to that. Like,
Maybe that happened for her.
Yeah, I listened to both albums. I'm sure we listened to both albums, and we even listened up to follow-up albums after that.
Right. Nice. Yeah. So I was very familiar with, this is, the 93, 94. That's my senior year. Mm-hmm. So like, music was everything, if you will. Stuff that I was into, pop stuff. A lot of it was connecting with me.
Oh, the same. You're the same age as my sister, because she graduated in 93.
Okay, yeah.
And you just had your birthday, but her birthday's in June.
Class of 93, you're right there.
Yes, class of 93. I remember that.
So I was familiar with Dolores O'Riordan's voice. O'Riordan, is that how you say it? Mm-hmm. I was familiar with her voice and singing style, but I was surprised. There's a little shoegaze in there with Zombie. Mm-hmm. Like, that is, there's a bunch happening across the album, but a decent amount of it is pretty chill. Mm-hmm. Like, not a whole, but Zombie was not like that, and really cool. In that it was different, and I liked the energy of it. And then I think that they put a few records out and then had some time off and then put some more out, and maybe their sound was different.
Yeah.
after they had some time off. I didn't poke around at all. Have you?
There was an album that was later in the 90s, and it was yellow, and I remember a song on there was called Salvation.
Okay.
You know the one she's like, Salvation, Salvation. You probably don't know if you're not weren't a big Cranberries fan, but
No.
anyways, it was good too.
Okay.
But I mean, I think it's like seasons of shows with me. Like if it goes past 3 seasons, I really just fall off.
I hear you.
You
I
know?
hear you, yeah.
And maybe that won't always be the case with every musical artist, but
The other
things change.
note that I had was there's a Led Zeppelin song called No Quarter, and it's got like real spooky, like churchy, graveyardy
Ooh,
keys.
yes, I love churchy music.
And Yeats's grave
Yes.
has it's really cool in that it feels like here's a little inspiration or a tip of the hat or something. So you listen to the first one, then this one, and then one or two after, and then Drifted from the Cranberries.
Yeah, I would say after the third album, I don't really know probably
Sure.
anything past the third album.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, 1 year after is when we get to Sparkle and Fade with Everclear. Second of 10 for them, 14 songs, 42 minutes. We're stateside again, and Portland, Oregon enters the chat. Impossible for me not to think of the named grain alcohol, because that is, again, 93.
Everclear,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I've seen them over the years, their name like on flyers or advertisements for festivals, or they're performing a show with two other acts that are kind of cut from the same cloth ish. But I've always kind of been like, I don't know for sure where to put them, because I've never sat down and listened to them. But that lead off track, I was like, this is just straight up fucking rock and roll.
Yes, and then it goes into Heroin Girl, so it's just like...
Yeah, and then it's as the record goes on, I was like, okay, this has also got a little element of punk, a little element of alternative.
And then Santa Monica is like iconic.
Yes.
I wore my big black boots.
Nice.
Yeah, I was like, all right, we're wearing big black boots. When we come up to the next album, I got my red on.
There you go.
West Coast, West Side.
So this goes back to the BMG, the
Where I got the
penny
yes,
albums.
Yes, the CD came.
And did you have here's the sheet with the squares, and you tear the sticker out and fasten it to the thing, and that's what you mail in? No?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay.
That actually, now that you mention that might be a memory that I completely forgot about until you just said it.
So when you chose this,
I feel like that happened.
yeah,
That's so weird to remember something you never remembered before.
it's like this. Here's the thing you're going to mail
put
back.
the sticker on. Yeah,
it's got a spot.
stamp.
The stamp booklet was ginormous.
Whoa,
Like, there's a lot of people making
blowing my
records
mind
that
here.
I didn't know. So when you, if that in fact was how it happened, tearing off that Everclear stamp and putting it on the form, were you already familiar with them? Or why did you choose that one?
I feel like I blocked a lot of memories out in my life.
Okay.
So even though I have a fantastic memory about details, for some reason, I don't have recollection of stuff.
Okay. Okay.
There's some things I just don't know. So like I wouldn't even remember that unless you just said it.
Right. I wonder if the album art, the cover art was appealing, or if a friend or a buddy was you should check it.
I bet you, Santa Monica had to be out.
Oh, okay.
Because remember, this is back at the time of MTV where we used to watch music videos, and music videos were cool. Mm-hmm. And so remember at the beginning of the video, it's showing him from below, and he's sitting there, and he's got his big black boots and his guitar. He's getting ready to like hitchhike to California or whatever he's doing.
So out of high school.
So visually, I remember that
Okay.
more, like videos.
I lost, so graduate in 93, do a year at Pitt State, and then I moved to Colorado. And while I was busy doing shit out there, I also was kind of off the grid. Like most places I lived, all the places I lived for 6 years,
So you weren't watching MTV? I was in middle school at home watching MTV every day. Yeah.
No, like, so I'm living in Durango for 4.5 years, and I can get an Albuquerque station and a Denver station that's a little fuzzy.
96.5 The Laser. Do you remember that?
The radio station?
Yeah.
Here? Well, I mean, I sort of, but I wasn't here.
You weren't here. Okay.
And the same when I was in the northern part of Colorado, I could get a Cheyenne station. Really, the only thing that was ever on was like Star Trek. Roommates would put on. Point being, like, I didn't watch Seinfeld. I didn't watch Friends. I was way into baseball for a lot of my youth, and then completely zero baseball at all for so that same time period. So I've never seen that video that I know of. Yeah.
I'm like, iconic.
I'm sure it is. But I was
so many videos were there back then. Radiohead. Did you?
Which song?
Just those videos back then, like fake plastic trees.
I knew you were going to say that. No, I don't think I've still even ever seen that.
The
video.
90s were such a great time.
See, for me, it was the 80s because it was like your
80s was my 90s, though, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So early 80s, both of my folks remarried. And with my mom, we wind up in a suburb of Atlanta and have cable for the 3 years that marriage lasted. So as often as I could get.
So then you got to watch all the 80s videos.
Right when MTV was,
yeah.
I mean, the astronaut on the moon with the MTV flag, like all the VJs that, some of which are still around doing whatever.
Take on Me.
Yeah.
I loved that video.
Yeah. But yeah, my 80s for sure were your 90s. So you knew Santa Monica probably because
I think that's probably what kicked it off. And so I just got the whole CD. And out of the 2 or 3 people I talked to on the phone every night of my middle school year in that trailer, Amanda was my music soulmate twin. And
shouts out to Amanda.
Shout out to Amanda. She's gonna hear this. She's gonna watch it now because I'm just gonna tell her she's in it.
Right.
Number 12, Pale Green Stars.
Okay.
So
nice.
In the very first line of that song, it goes, Amanda is in love with the sight of the moon. She's got pale green stars in her room. And we did. Remember, we had those stick-up stars.
Absolutely.
And so she was obsessed with Everclear, too.
Very cool.
And
so
just so many good memories.
I'm promised that I'm not this musically ignorant, but initially, like, you sent me, here's what I'm going with. I think I had a buddy over and looked at it and interesting. But first thoughts that I had were, is it the Everly Brothers that sing "You've Lost That Love and Feeling"? It's not. It's the Isley Brothers, I think. But the other thought, I saw Everclear and I thought Everlast, who made that "What It's Like."
Yeah.
Song. Do you know what song I'm talking about?
On one song I know. I don't know any other songs. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure that song came out with other songs on an album, but I couldn't tell you. But I was like, that's who I thought.
You were like, Everlast.
She liked the whole album, but
but now that you listen to it, you get it, right?
Absolutely.
Because he was a really bad drug addict, and so that's what a lot of these songs are about. Like Strawberry, that's like about like my heroin burns, like I'm into this deep stuff.
Man.
Heart Spark $, I think that was about him having a black girlfriend.
It is. It absolutely. And his
Yeah.
family being like, don't do that. And
Right.
he's like, I'm going to.
Yeah. But a lot of these songs, if you're listening to them, they're about him and a girl and them having this fight and then the drugs and leaving and then one of these two about, I found out it was my mom who killed herself. Like it was supposed to be my aunt, but yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's another thing too about music too, and you find out what the lyrics are, and then you find out what they really mean, and you're like, "Whoa, I didn't even know that."
For sure. Mm-hmm. For sure. You've reminded me of two of my other favorite memes when you mentioned
Oh, Queen of the Air, sorry.
No, you're
My
good.
sexual life is different. Queen of the Air is the one about the mom.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
When you mentioned Bangkok being like New York on steroids, one of my favorite memes is things to do in New York. Number 1, leave, and that's the whole list.
I love New York.
And then the other is MTV turned 41 today. Thank you, MTV, for 11 years of music videos.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. Why did it have to change?
Okay, so another single year leap with Tupac. All Eyes on Me. 4th of 4, 27 tracks, 2 hours plus. From Manhattan, so he's not a bum, but
Exactly.
Beastie Boy shout out there. Stop in Baltimore, and then he winds up eventually in California. I know that my guy Mab KC had this one on his list in episode 49. Shouts out to Industry Sounds. His
Who was it?
Mab KC.
Okay.
He has a recording studio called Industry Sounds.
Why did he pick it?
He did a unique thing where he went to Tupac records, and he might have had 2 Jay-Z records on there. But it was, I think one of the 2 Tupac records, I think it was this one, got him through high school. But it was also a couple of years ago that episode aired, so I'd have to go back and poke around. But I think that was why. So
wait, before you go, I'm gonna go to the bathroom.
Yes, I'm going to do the same.
Okay.
So who was it? It was Mom that was listening to Bone Thugs and Harmony, and
yeah, it was Mom listening to that.
And you weren't into rap yet.
I wasn't into rap yet.
Okay.
However, so 7th grade, 6th grade was getting to the Everclear and the No Doubt Sublime, all the Violent Femmes, all the CDs that I got from BMG or whatever, whoever it was.
Yeah, Columbia House or BMG were the 2 big.
7th grade, moved to Vegas and then listened to Tori Amos.
Yeah.
8th grade, we moved to Montana.
Okay. And what was the town?
Hamilton.
Where is it?
I don't know.
Okay. I mean, I know Bozeman and Billings and Missoula and Kalispell. And
Kalispell
Sydney.
sounds familiar.
Okay.
Bozeman, Missoula. It's closer to Missoula.
Okay.
I know that.
All
I
right.
remember the Missoula airport was close by, like an hour and a half maybe. So I was really into the Matchbox 20 CD, the first one that they released, and the Third Eye Blind CD, my 8th grade year. Like, Third Eye Blind, that first CD, I love it. Love every song. But there, you hang out with kids and then they're starting to listen to rap. And Tupac was huge at that time. And so, I don't know, that it just, 6th and 7th grade, I don't like it. Mom likes it. 8th grade, my friends like it.
Now it's cool.
Now it's cool. 9th grade, Warren G.
Yeah.
Then getting into all the rap in 9th grade, and then I've been a rap head ever since.
Nice.
Yeah. And it was really hard for me to decide this one.
Okay,
because I love so much rap.
Okay, so was it hard for you to leave Third Eye Blind and Tori Amos off?
No.
Okay.
It wasn't that. It was which rap CD do I pick? Because
Okay.
I want to represent rap in this list.
Who were some of the other top considerations? Or albums?
That's the thing, is I'm a very, song person. And so I might not have listened to the whole album.
Sure.
But there might have been really, awesome songs and really awesome artists where I like a ton of their songs. So, Do or Die.
Okay.
Twista is one of my favorite rappers. I had, Do or Die CDs, Trick Daddy.
Nice.
Bone Thugs.
Yeah.
There's just a whole genre of that. Do or Die and Twista, though, is
This one has always stood out to me in that, it's disc 1, book 1, disc 2, book 2, however many tracks. 27 tracks and 130 plus minutes, and really like not a bad song.
Right.
Like so many really, really great cuts. Like
that's what I'm saying. It's iconic. I feel like I had to, you know, like if I'm going to encompass rap in my lifetime, I'm going to pick Tupac because it's like California. Anytime you hear that, you're just like, and then even just starting off with number one, Ambitions as a writer.
Yeah.
And also I'm a little bit gangster. I'm not going to lie.
Okay.
I grew up in Iola, Kansas, and I know that doesn't sound, but it was, you know, I came from a kind of a rough upbringing and background, and
there or just
no, in Iola, Kansas.
What were some?
You know, in Iola, Kansas, you're either doing drugs or getting pregnant. That's it.
Those are the two pastimes.
Yes, that's the only two pastimes in Iola, Kansas.
Okay.
Sailor's dad actually was a drug dealer. When I met him when I was 16, and funny because where I came from, you know, and he always had, you know, $2,000 in his pocket in cash, and he took me to the mall and bought all my school clothes for me, you know.
Holy shit.
Took me out to eat. May have been Sonic, but it doesn't matter. I could have whatever I wanted.
Yeah.
You know, we'd be laying on the couch watching movies at his house because he was 21 and I was 17, and there'd just be people coming in and getting bags of weed.
Mostly, is that mostly what it was?
Yeah, mostly. Okay. And then at some point, you know, he made a run down to Texas and, you know, got some cola, you know.
Damn.
So, and then at some point, you know, in high school, he would give me some weed to sell, and then I could make some money.
Yeah.
So me and my friends in high school, we were definitely rolling blunts and having 40s.
Actually, blunts?
Yes.
Like you knew
it was mostly Rillos. Rillos is what we rolled, not blunts. Blunts are huge. Rillos are cigarillos. And so everybody would roll a Rillo. And, you know, we got into even harder drugs than that. Sure. I mean, we got into all of it because that was all there was to do.
Now, it took me some time to really get my joint rolling skills.
I used to know how to do that when I was in high school.
But a Rillo is...
it's hard.
You're not emptying out, so you have paper.
Are.
Okay, you are.
Yeah, no, a Rillo is buying, like, you know, that pack of, it's called cigarillos, and there's tips on them.
Like Black and Milds?
Yes, Black and Milds.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So you're emptying out.
So you're cutting it, you're licking it, you're cutting it, you're emptying out the tobacco, you're putting the weed in, and then you're...
Yeah.
The whole time, but at least papers have like a sticky thing.
Exactly.
Rillos don't.
Yeah.
And then they would light it with a lighter to seal it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. Groups of girls. We would be 6 deep in a car and we'd go country cruising. We'd get a 30-pack of Natty Light. You know, we're 16, 17 years old, and that's all we did was drive around. We'd cruise, country cruising.
Absolutely.
That's all we did.
Yeah.
I didn't have a terrible life growing up. I'm just saying.
No.
It was different.
No. I was doing that here. Only Milwaukee's Best Light and off. I mean, if joints, bowls, but sometimes just driving around drinking underage with a bong, like in Johnson County.
See, now that's crazy. I couldn't imagine growing up in Johnson County and doing that.
No, and you know the you know, because that's on the weekends. Like, you either know where the party is or you got to spend a chunk of the evening figuring it out. Mm-hmm. And oftentimes it's not happening for very long because the cops come because there's nothing else going on.
Field parties. We were in the country, parties, so we could have lots of field parties.
Nice.
It was very fun.
Rillos. That's crazy. And I mean, so the taste of the tobacco is obviously in there. Does it contribute to the...
Gosh, I don't remember.
No?
It's been so long. I haven't smoked bud that I had to take the seeds and stems out in like years and years. I
can totally see myself...
I remember getting fucked up.
Yeah.
Hella faded,
yeah.
In California, hella keyed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can totally see 19-year-old me being like, yeah, I'll make that run to Texas to pick up whatever it is I'm going to pick up. Now it's like, you want me to drive down the street after dark? And it's raining? Are you out of, like just 50 versus 19?
Oh, yeah, no, he definitely cleaned up his act, I guess. Right. After we had a baby and, he didn't want to get busted.
No,
get a big boy job and all that stuff.
But But it's funny how in just the level of no consideration of consequences, and you're invincible to anything that could go wrong. To
Well, the energy.
the energy.
Tell me, you're like you said, get down the street. I don't know.
So I know this is something of a trite exercise in that it gets used all over the place. But if you had to make a Mount Rushmore of rap, Tupac's he's above. Who else is going? Who's going in there?
Oh gosh, asking the hard questions.
Well, I mean,
the thing is it's not just like rap as in
rap and hip hop.
Okay.
I mean,
because that's the thing is like you're talking like I love T-Pain and gosh, but that's the thing. It's like albums. It's so hard to even think about albums.
It doesn't have to be an album. I'm just thinking of artists.
Like I love all those early 2000s hits. You know, like I kind of already mentioned some.
Yeah.
Do or Die was big. Trick Daddy. So have you been to Tacos and Tequila in Kansas City every year?
No.
Oh my gosh, it's such a great concert. So it's all people our age at an all-day festival, and they have like Libra, what is it called? The Nacho Libra wrestling.
Lucha Libre.
Lucha Libre wrestling all day.
I think FK Menace is responsible for or involved.
I don't know who that is.
He's a DJ that.
Well, I know Ashton Martin has been opening up for it every year that I've been going.
Okay.
But this year is Nelly.
Dang.
So I went to the first year I went, Ludacris headlined, and it was just banging.
I bet.
Last year was T-Pain.
Okay.
But they've got all the like the Young Jock and like. I'm trying to think of all the like little rappers, not even little, but like rappers that were
up and
popular
coming. Okay.
In that time frame of the 2000s. Oh, Ashanti was there last year. This year they're going to do Trina.
Nice.
So Trina and Trick Daddy, I mean, that's big for me. Let's see. Gosh, without opening my phone and going to every single.
I hear you.
But there's just so much. Like I just love R&B, hip hop.
I'm definitely.
It's hard to think off the top of my head.
That's fair.
Yeah.
If we're just doing rap, Tupac's on there for sure for me. Too Short is probably on there.
I love Too Short. He's going to be there this year.
Is he really?
Yeah.
God, that dude, if you ever are bored, look at his discography. He's been making records for 40 fucking years. Like, while other people...
Getting is my favorite. While the getting is good.
Yeah.
Snoop Dogg and Biggie, I mean...
Biggie never really resonated with me. Just from a sound... I don't know.
Juicy is a great song. I will always love Juicy, you know?
Yeah. Let's see. So Tupac, Too Short. And then it gets tough because I want to put Eazy-E on there, but I don't want to leave off anybody else from NWA.
I love some Ice Cube.
I want to put Ice Cube on there, but I was a bigger Ice-T fan.
Kendrick Lamar.
For Kendrick. Okay.
I mean, I like him.
Yeah,
so one reason why I like Tupac is because it's not just about this stuff over here, money, bitches, whatever. He also had a lot to say.
A lot of substance in his lyrics.
Yes, a lot of substance. And that's what I really like about, I like the smart lyrics.
Absolutely. Oh God.
Yeah.
He's so smart in that way. And I haven't stopped thinking about it in some degree since preparing for this. I knew this, at some point I knew this was 4 of 4 for him. But I didn't necessarily make the connection, or perhaps I forgot that this is, like I said, a double album with 2 hours plus of really no skips, like just a killer album. And it was his last and his biggest in terms of content. How many songs, how much material there? Because I don't think either of the first 3 were double albums. So it's almost like, was was that meant to be? Or did we just get deprived of what he could have done after?
Well, you know what my fiance told me the other day, because I was kind of going over my music the other night, and so I was playing some, and so he played Hail Mary off the Machiavelli album,
Yeah.
and he's like, this is my favorite Tupac song, and then he talked about how Machiavelli was somebody who got killed and this and that, and so it's like that whole like life imitates art thing, you know.
Yeah.
You're making an album about how you're getting killed, murdered,
Yeah.
and so that's just interesting because I said, being a manifester, you got to be careful what you're putting out there.
I know. That's a good that's a great track. And even the bells in it are kind of ominous for how things would go down.
But sometimes at some point you kind of know if that's what you're creating.
Yeah.
So just like you thinking of this podcast and it happening, it's like you can create it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So from that incredible album, we leap to your other bookend, 2023, with post.
Wait, before we get into it.
Yes.
Okay. So that was that. In high school, I just have to name drop a few.
Yeah.
Incubus.
Okay.
Make Yourself, that whole album.
Nice.
Was a big deal. The Garth Brooks Double Live in New York.
Okay.
I wasn't even into country, but that Double Live CD with the apples on it, you know, Garth Brooks. No. Oh, it was so good.
I'm sure.
It was
I'm sure.
So good.
Like so many people love and adore. Who else can, there are a few, but not many people can go, I'm going to do 9 nights at this venue.
And have it be sold out.
Yeah. Like, and some people will go multiple nights, even if it's the same set list.
Yeah.
But I'm sure.
Yeah.
What was the name of the Garth record with the apples?
Garth Brooks Double
Live
CD in New York.
In New York, okay.
New York, yeah. I think that's why the apples are on there.
Gotcha.
The Big Apple. So it's that in particular, because I've heard other versions or regular versions of them, and it just doesn't compare to that one album, which is a double disc as well. I guess we'll move on from there, but like...
If they come to you, just fire them out, yeah.
Okay, well, so one I left off the list that you knew I wanted to put on there was Licky Lee.
Yeah.
Licky Lee was a big deal to me in my 20s. I had several of her albums.
Okay.
Almost all of them, probably. Because I was like, sad girl, like all her music was very, I resonated with it quite a bit, kind of like Unrequited Love. Sure. She even has a song, I think, called Unrequited Love. Yeah. My little sister walked down the aisle to one of her songs.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay.
Yep.
That sounds cool.
Tonight. It's the album I would have put on the list. Yeah.
Right on.
So
Well,
that's
seriously, if they come to you, just fire them off.
Yeah, Peter, Bjorn, and John. I don't know that I listened. I remember I probably did listen to the whole album back then, but only a few songs I kind of remember. But I just remember listening to Young Folks for the first time. It was actually on headphones. It was St. Patrick's Day, like 2006 or something. Okay. I don't even remember. And my boyfriend at the time was like, listen to this. And like you know what I mean? Like that's so crazy to even have that experience. And then like put the headphones on and then do. And I was just like, what? And then the whole song. So that was amazing.
Nice.
One of the best concerts I ever went to was a sold out show of the XX.
Oh my, like groovy riff.
Guy and the Girl.
Okay.
No, XX is like a alternative 2009, 2010-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's an album that is, I think, black. And
yes,
it just has
with
X.
the white X.
And like most of that album, if not all of that album, is instrumental.
I love the entire album.
Right?
No. The intro song is instrumental.
Okay.
And so that's a pretty, like, if you heard that song, you would know. They probably have it on commercials and shit. You know how they pick cool music, indie music for that.
It's the kind of a guitar, and then the drums kind of come in, and then it's all of a sudden it's like funky.
Yeah. So that show is amazing because Kansas City, you know how they are with their cheering. They kind of like loudest stadium type deal. Yeah. They just kept cheering after every song, and they're up there just like, oh my gosh, because they wouldn't shut up. Just like, I remember walking into the back of oh gosh, what is that? Long skirt, short jacket, long jacket, short skirt. Yeah. Who is that?
Fuck.
You know, do 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 do.
Yeah.
Cake. I walked into a sold out cake show at the Uptown Theater one time, and it was rocking.
I bet.
Like crazy.
Great venue.
Yeah. I went to a sold out show at Glass Animals, at Sandstone.
Okay.
Yeah. Dun, dun, dun. Gooey.
Recently?
It was
Summer?
3 years ago. 4 years ago.
Okay. I feel like I had somebody on this summer who was going with their lady friend that night to Sandstone to see them.
Yes. That show, they were like beating on the chair. Like they, again, another one where the crowd would not quit cheering. And they're like, this is literally the best show we've ever played, or you guys are insane.
Cool.
So that's fun to have that energy.
Yeah.
Okay, but now... the last one.
2023, 5th of 6 for Post Malone Austin, including one from last year. This one has 17 tracks, 51 minutes. Back to New York, but Syracuse this time. He lives in Texas for a bit, but ultimately lands in California. And old guy perspective, when I first started hearing the words Post and Malone together, I think I heard them enough that I turned to whoever and was like, what is a Post Malone? And they're like, oh, he's he's an artist, he's a rapper, he's a musician.
Mm-hmm.
And then, now I don't know his stuff, definitely not outside of this album but he's kind of everywhere. So how did he first hit your radar?
I would say I was a Post Malone fan way back in the beginning with his first album, like White Iverson.
Yeah.
That song and whatever other songs that came out back then. And then...
Is that the Bellies and Beer Bongs or
yes,
whatever?
Bentleys and Beer Bongs.
Yeah, okay.
Or something like Beer Bongs and Bentleys.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And then he had that other album, Hollywood's Bleeding, and so there was a bunch of good songs on there too.
Okay.
And I've just been consistently a fan of his. But this album, we're talking like, go back to the 90s, I bought a CD and I listened to it from front to back a million times.
Wow.
This is the only album in the 2000s that I have listened to the way that I have listened to it.
Really?
Do you get your Spotify Wrapped every year?
I do.
Post Malone has been my number one artist for 2 years in a row.
Wow.
Because of this album. Specifically.
What about it gets you into that? If you're a person that's skipping to the next song before the current song is over, and you don't necessarily do albums,
every single one.
What is it about it? Why has it grabbed you?
I feel like he puts so much emotion into it. And like the words that he's singing also, like I guess I just relate to, or I just feel like he's, plus they're catchy, they're a little poppy. Like I don't understand the obsession with Taylor Swift and Beyonce and, these other people that people are going crazy about, because he's a pop star too, just like them.
Right.
But like, maybe I haven't listened to their album, just like you said, you get stuck in your own stuff and you don't want to hear other people's stuff. But, I don't know. I think I was going through a lot too. Because like when Luna, my dog, got shot and killed, that was during this time where I was listening to this album a lot. And so this album it was so sad. It's so sad. No, we didn't talk about that here.
I know, but did I ask you why? Do you have an answer why that happened?
I don't have an answer. I just know that there are shitty people in the world who
do shitty
he was doing it for sport.
Ugh.
Basically, because my dog she was a pointer, so she never bothered anybody. She actually was so focused on pointing at animals in the trees in the woods, she had never even barked at anybody. Like she was an amazing dog, and she actually touched a lot of people's lives. A lot of people really, really loved her. Wow. So there was a lot of outpouring of love and sadness when she got killed, because she had just turned 9, and I had her since she was a baby, and I've never had a pet my whole life. And your kids are one thing, but like your dog is there day in and day out by your side every single day. Yeah. And
So
it's just a different type of relationship. But anyways, it was just very emo.
Yeah, it's very chill.
It's emo, it's chill, it's rock.
Yeah.
He also has his rap background, so like I just feel like he has so much range. This Something Real song, it also this album in particular has a bunch of like church music background. It's got like a bunch of singers, like chorus singers. I don't know, it's just so cool. I just relate to it. Some like overdrive, like just doing too much all the time.
Yeah.
Something real, give me a cigarette just so I can breathe.
Right.
I don't know. It's just, I like it.
He's a fascinating dude for sure.
Yeah. And he's so kind and sweet.
I was just going to say, it seems like he's really sweet too. Like,
He is.
and whenever I've seen examples of that, they don't feel staged. Like, here we're going to set up and make this content. No, it's just like somebody captures, I'm doing camcorder.
Yeah.
Somebody captures him and he's just being
I've heard accounts of just fans and him being super cool.
Nice.
And I've seen the videos where he's meeting Dolly Parton and
Yeah.
he's just like, I'm such a huge fan, ma'am. And like,
Yeah.
he's cool.
So what's the 2023 release called? It's like F1 trillion.
Oh, so the newest one?
Yeah.
F1 Trillion.
Have you poked around at that at all?
I have. I
Okay.
listened to the whole, because I'm a huge fan. So when it first came out, I listened to it like a few times.
Okay.
And it's country.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And which is understandable because, he does have roots in Texas and
Yep.
a lot of his idols were country singers. And also I've seen him in concert a few times and, some of his older stuff is more like auto-tuney and like rap, but like he plays guitar.
That's what I was
acoustic
expecting to get a bunch of when I put this on. I was like, this is not that at all, really.
Yeah, this was more like what? Like rock? Like what?
Singer-songwriter, rock.
Yeah,
with
just
flavor.
keep listening to it for me.
I will. Flavors. There's like flavors of rap.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I was very surprised. Very cool.
Yeah, because I can tell you my favorites for sure.
Do.
Because I asked, Tyler the other night, I was like, which one do you think I like the best? Laugh It Off or Something Real? Because Laugh It Off, it's so good. I'll do a whole dance routine to it.
Oh, boy.
But Something Real just gets me in my feels.
Nice. I like it.
So,
Cool.
yeah.
So
Go ahead.
is there anybody, just off the top of your head, you don't have to think hard about it, is there anybody that you would compare him to? Another artist? Like,
I think someone asked me that one time.
Really?
And I think that my answer was no.
Right.
Because someone was like, well, who does he sound like? And I'm like,
he sounds like Post Malone.
yeah, exactly. I was like, I don't think there's anybody that I can think of that
I couldn't come up with one either.
Because he's just himself.
Right.
Have you ever seen his old videos from when he was in high school? And he started off just making his own videos.
No.
Oh my gosh.
Like a music video, if you will?
Yeah,
Cool.
he was really dorky.
Sure.
Really dorky.
Okay.
But he was still just doing his thing. Like ever since he was little. And think about this. Look at all the albums he's made. He's like 28 years old.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Patrick Mahomes' age.
Could you imagine like us having that much all of our skill, or what's it called, like
talent skill,
in their pinky finger?
Yeah, no.
Or the drive to become a millionaire at what, 20?
It's pretty awesome. Yeah.
That to me that's admirable.
Yeah. And we're all dorks. Like in middle school or high school or whatever, like somebody might say that you're this. And these people over here are dorks, but we're all at our core dorks.
I'm a dork.
Right?
I'm a weirdo. That's probably why I like him, because he doesn't care. He just does his thing.
So like what's Post Malone? Okay, now I kind of have an idea, and then I saw a picture of him, and I was like, wow, I did not. That is aggressive with the ink. Mm-hmm. But now it's like I'm used to that. What I haven't gotten used to yet is the
grill.
Yeah, like
he actually looks different now than he used to. He used to be more like tatted up and thugged out. And now he's starting to like scale back and go country and cut his hair. And like in one of these songs, he says, I'll remove my tattoos if that's cool to you.
Yeah.
So he became a father recently in the last couple of years because he used to be bigger, like kind of more overweight and like.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so in the last couple of years, people have been like, why are you so skinny? Are you on drugs? And he's just like, no, I just had a baby. And he's like, and I care about my health now and I want to be healthy for my daughter.
So, but is that a thing, you know, things that I just don't come across, like having lashes put on, and how often is one supposed to wash one's hair? Is that a thing? Does that come out for meals and cleaning? Do you know, like if you have a grill, or is it in there?
Oh, the grill. I think a grill's just something you put on.
It's just so you could just for any old thing.
It's
you
kind
could
of like
pop.
jewelry.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you
okay.
just take it off. That's funny because I had a girlfriend that had a grill one time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does she still?
No. Not that I know of.
Right. Okay.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Early 2000s.
Do you ever come across Caleb Presley? Are you on TikTok?
No.
No, you're not. Okay, never mind. Well, I mean, he's probably elsewhere, but he.
I'm an Instagram girly.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's this. I'm sure his stuff. I think he's affiliated with Barstool, which I don't.
I remember listening to Call Her Daddy a long time ago when it first came out.
Okay.
And I just remember saying Barstool Sports or something.
Yeah.
That's a podcast.
Yeah. So Caleb Presley, I think, was doing his own thing, and Barstool was like, we need to have you be a part of our fabric. So he's an interesting looking dude, and he almost always wears a bolo tie. Mm-hmm. And he has a dude off to the side. I'm not going to say his name, but he sits there and eats he eats from a ginormous bowl of ice cream. Oh. And they just pan to him. And sometimes he's in super weird.
There's always a side guy
costumes,
doing some weird thing, yeah.
But he gets like, you name it or her. And he's done interviews with them. Mm-hmm. He's had Post Malone, and it's all rooted in comedy. Like he's trying to be silly. He's trying to make
the guy with the mullet who makes funny jokes and stuff that everybody. Maybe it's him. I don't remember him wearing.
You're talking about Theo Vaughn.
Maybe that sounds familiar.
Yeah. But I've seen a clip or two of him interviewing Post Malone, and he asked him about being always tired.
Oh yeah, because his tattoo says "always tired."
Yeah, and I
feel like I've seen this.
Yeah, and that's the thing about these are entertaining and they're funny, but oftentimes like if you don't know, you don't know, and then you gotta like go to the comments or Google it or whatever to figure out. So I didn't catch on.
Because we're old.
Yeah.
We don't know the lingo.
But it made him laugh. I mean, he gets him going quite a few times. But and again to that. Notion that we touched on earlier, he just seems sweet, which is pretty for me endearing. Valuable today. So
yeah, I had to pick that one because it's reminiscent of back in the day, and also the music in it is more rock, like alternative, like from back in the 90s.
Yeah. So
I think that's why I really like that one.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah,
it's a good one. It was a good way to close out your list. So I usually wrap with just a series of goofy questions, and then we'll get you on your way.
All right.
So the first is you're given the ability to have coffee or lunch or a cocktail, whatever the thing is, with anyone of your choice, dead or alive. Who are you picking and why?
Oh, my God. I wish I would have watched the very end to figure this question out.
Well, some of the questions are often on there, but sometimes I rotate other ones in and out. So.
Okay. Man, it'd be nice to talk to my dad. I mean, he died when I was
12?
Young.
Did you say 12?
Yeah, 12. And I didn't talk to him for a whole year at least before then. So, I mean, imagine only knowing somebody between the ages of from what you can 11. Remember. Yeah. And then a lot of that being really shitty.
Yeah.
So, like.
That's a great answer.
Yeah.
I love that.
I mean, I just got to sit down with my mom and ask her about her whole life and her history.
Yeah.
And record it so that I had it. So, like, when you're trying to figure out who you are as a person, it's nice to have some Because what if I remembered wrong? You tell me some stuff that I didn't know.
Yeah.
And when you're that little as a kid, you don't know to ask certain questions and you're not going to remember and things are all crazy anyway. So yeah, I honestly, I don't really feel like I have a lot of idols or anything.
Right.
Like anybody that.
No, your dad's a wonderful answer.
Yeah. And you know, my dad was a terrible, shitty person, but like, I'd love to have a cup of coffee with that motherfucker.
Yeah. This lady's name is escaping me, but she's been all over my feeds recently. Super, super smart and sought after. Everybody's interviewing this gal. She's really sharp. She and her husband opened a restaurant. It was really successful. So they went location 2 and location 3, and those were not. And it totally created them and buried them in debt. And it was very hard. And I forget exactly how she got to where she is now. But every time I see her, I stop and watch.
What does she do now?
I mean, I forget.
Oh, okay.
But she's being interviewed all over the place. And this one I saw not too long ago, she's talking to the interviewer about, you know, his or her relationship with his or her parent or parents. And it's like, you have to like decide or choose to be okay with the way things were, because guess what? They didn't know what the fuck they were doing when they had kids. Mm-hmm. And it's like this wild notion of being a kid and this fucking rules. And I just want to be big. I want to be and then you get to adulthood and you're like, this fucking blows. Like, it was way better with no responsibilities and just fun catered for you or whatever as a kid.
I didn't have that. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
But I mean, you had responsibilities earlier than a lot of folks. But having my own feelings about my folks, you know, it's like they didn't fucking know what they were doing.
Yeah, you can't blame them.
Yeah.
You got to, at some point, just take responsibility and be like, hey, it is what it is. And now I control it.
Yeah. So I really I say all that to say that I love that you have chosen to still have love in your heart for him, regardless of whatever went down, whenever it went down. So
I do.
It's a great answer and a great thing to.
Because my mom will say, you know, your poor dad, you know how mean his dad was to him, you know, like terribly. So like, and we know so much more nowadays, don't we? Like with mental health and, you know how it is. People growing up in the 50s, 60s, 70s, like it's completely different. Yeah. And so, and I know people who are very stuck in the past and very in blame victim mode. And sure, we were victims, but at the same time, you can't let that define you. You can't let that run your life. Nope. And I refuse.
Yeah, that's a great attitude. So if we can pretend or imagine that we all have a personal and a professional bucket list. Let's say you're given all the necessary resources to go out tomorrow and knock out your number one on both of those lists. What are they?
Oh, man. So, you know how people get older and they're just like, oh, I'm so old and I'm just going to shit. And they're like 35.
Yeah.
I am under a much different impression that like every year I have the chance to get better.
Okay.
And improve myself.
Yeah.
So I'm on a mission to get the best body that I've ever had.
Okay.
And 41, I mean, I follow ladies in their 60s on Instagram who are killing it, you know, with like working out and muscle gain and doing all this. It's like, there's no reason why I can't keep striving and keep practicing every day to like become better.
Yeah.
Whatever it may be. My balance. I really want to learn another language. I want to learn Spanish so bad.
Okay.
Like, I'm probably going to spend a lot of time in Mexico in my future, or any Spanish speaking country, actually. So like, I've been wanting to learn Spanish for a really long time. So learning a second language, it's harder when you're older, but like totally doable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
people are doing it by the dozen.
Best body. Speak a second language.
Yeah.
Professionally, I want to be able to have business that keeps running and I get to go wherever I want and be on my computer. Not saying I want to sit there and work on my computer, but I can manage anything that I need to manage from anywhere I want to be.
That sounds awesome.
That is the number one goal, and that has been the number one goal for a long time.
Create a thing, get it to where there's folks that run it or it runs.
Yeah,
whatever,
and I still want it to be a great thing.
Yeah, and
you know, like I want to
have
have standards. I want to have people in my corner in my business who can run it as well as I would.
Sure.
That is the fucking goal.
Absolutely.
You know, I don't want to leave and then it goes to shit.
No. What's the point? All of your hard work.
And that's why my daughter coming into the picture and helping me grow a business. I feel like family, people say, oh, you know, you shouldn't work with family because it might get weird.
It's going to get weird one way or the other.
Yeah. And it's like, you know what? If I'm going to have a legacy, if
Yeah.
I'm going to pass something on, I'm going to teach you how to do it and make you do it. You want that money? Then you work it.
Yeah.
And do a good job.
Cool.
So that's where I'm at.
I like it. You're given the ability to visit your past self. Mm-hmm. Any age you're choosing. What age are you choosing and what are you saying?
Whew. I'm going to say I would go back to my early 20s.
Okay.
And I would probably become a stripper a lot sooner.
Become a stripper a lot sooner.
Become a stripper a lot sooner.
Is
I say that because...
Is that a profession that you have had?
I did. So you don't know this about me, but I've had over 100 different jobs.
Okay.
In my life. And I'm not exaggerating.
Right.
We're talking about W-2s, 1099s, you name it.
Okay.
I've had 100 jobs. I've done everything you can think of. I've had so many different business cards for different things. At 36, 37 years old, I started doing pole at a friend's house who had a pole. And she was a dancer somewhere. And she was living the life. And I was like, I like that. And I had a job where I was climbing on roofs with a ladder in the 100-degree weather in July. And I was so tapped into my masculine because I was a single mom for so long and I had so many jobs and I was working. And that job taught me how to use my feminine ways. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was fun because like, you know how I grew up. I didn't have parents that invested in me or gave me any time or put me in anything extracurricular. I could have been a gymnast. I could have been a dancer. I could have been so many things because I was very talented and very athletic. And so me becoming a dancer and learning how to do pole when I was older, it was kind of like the time in my life when I was reparenting myself. And like, you can't become a professional dancer at 36 years old.
But you did?
I mean, yes, I'm talking about like when you're young and you're going to dance competitions or you're being on, you know what I mean? Hired for like music videos or TV or whatever kind of dancing people get hired to do, you know? And I've always looked really young too. And so nobody even knew how old I was. I thought I was 20 something. But I had the business mind because I've already had so many jobs and I've already been in the business world for so long that I'm in there just hustling, you know? So
how long did you do it?
Just like, let's see, started in November of 19. COVID shut it down in March of 2020. So what's that? November, December, January, February. 4 months.
Yeah.
4 months. And then after opened back up, I worked in St. Louis for a few months, just for a summer. So probably 3-4 months. So less than a year.
Okay.
Less than a year. But within that time, I completely changed. Like,
really?
Yeah, I just learned so much about men. You know, me having a personal romantic relationship got so much better because so many women are... you just don't know. Men and women both don't even know how to be in a relationship anymore. Nobody teaches us.
No.
We don't have good examples.
No.
So I guess I learned a lot.
Okay.
And I got in touch with my feminine self.
Okay.
To be more of a feminine being for a masculine man, to be that perfect yin and yang kind of combo.
So this is a thing that you would tell your...
So in my early 20s, when all through my 20s, I was fucking chasing guys who were dicks to me, guys who all had fucking alcohol, drug issues. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the things that we get caught up in when we're in our 20s.
But you would choose that age and
I'd
that.
be like, go back and I'd say, stop what you're doing right now, and you need to focus on your money and getting ahead and being with men who can provide for you. You know,
so for
it's
the
not just about that, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's like why am I wasting on time? Why were so many women wasting their time on men who treat them like shit?
Good question.
Good question.
Well, for the short little bit you were doing it, good money.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
definitely.
If you could give that message to yourself at 20 something, you would not only have the growth and development, but more money in your pocket.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. Had I started making really good money back then and then I'm good at making business decisions as it is and good investments now, but I'm 41. And you know what I mean? Like I started way late in life. Imagine being early 20s and knowing what I know now, which of course hindsight's always 20/20. That's what they say. Mm-hmm. So when you say if you could go back,
right.
I feel like that would be the most influential, beneficial time for me to say, hey, I'm going to give you the exact blueprint of what you need to do to where you could probably be a millionaire by the time you're 40. You know what I mean? If you make these right choices. It's like Back to the Future when he goes back and gives himself the
all sports
yes
almanac.
Yeah without doing it that way,
right?
Like, I'm not going to give you lottery numbers. That didn't happen to me,
right? I'm
giving you actual advice that actually happened.
Yeah Very good.
I know that's kind of a curveball, but
no, it's cool. I like it. I like it.
You know,
you recall that at one point there was a television show called Fear Factor.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sort of reality TV-ish, scare stuff. So, but not necessarily for the purposes of television or for shock value or anything like that. But if you were in a situation where you had to endure your biggest source of heebie-jeebies and willies and creeps, what would your Fear Factor challenge be?
I mean, spiders is the first thing that comes to mind. Oh my God. Yeah. And my mom is snakes.
Okay.
I don't care about snakes.
Sure.
Spiders.
Gotcha.
That would be my worst nightmare.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm sure you probably get that answer a lot.
No.
Okay.
I mean, it's really varied, actually. And sometimes people struggle.
No way I would put my hand in a thing of spiders.
Right. Well, and for young folks that don't know the show, I say, you'd have to do things like lay in a coffin and they dump a whole bucket of spiders on you, or you have to eat something weird or whatever. But when somebody struggles, where I go is Kill Bill. Have you seen this movie?
I don't remember.
Okay. Uma Thurman.
Mm-hmm, I know it.
She gets chloroformed and then they bury her alive.
Oh, okay.
Fuck that. Like she gets out. She's a badass.
So you're like claustrophobia.
I think there's claustrophobia, and then I think there's being buried alive.
Oh, okay.
Like that's.
That sounds terrible too.
Yeah.
But I don't think I'd feel as upset as if I had spiders crawling in me on the coffin.
Right. Okay. Last but not least, please complete this for me.
Okay.
The world would immediately become a better place in which to live, if only.
If only people could see outside of themselves.
Ooh, different perspective lens.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Great answers.
It's like, gosh, everyone's going through kind of the same thing. So when you're so mad about this or that, however you're feeling, they're feeling, but you can't see it because you're just in your own shit.
Another good meme is me, be kind to everybody because you never know what folks are going through. Also me. Nice turn signal, fuckface.
Yes. Oh my God. I said fuckface when I was driving the other day and Tyler was like, bringing out the old fuckface, huh?
It's a good one.
It is. It really is when you're super angry.
Very efficient.
Yeah. But back to the other question about what I would have told myself and then being a dancer, stripper, whatever. it's not just about the money. It was about the fact that I was doing something fun. I got to pick my songs.
Oh, wow. Nice.
And I got to dance, which is like huge for me throughout my whole life, 20s, 30s, 40s, whenever. Like, I love to go dance. I love concerts. So getting paid to perform, because I'm kind of a little bit of performer. Like, I always like am the hostess with the mostest. I want to make everybody happy.
Yeah.
So getting to do that plus music plus dancing, I mean, it's just
Did you? I know it was short lived, but did you ever have any ick from either the establishment or a boss or a customer?
Not as much as you would think.
Because the movies
just a little bit
paints it in a pretty stereotypical way.
Oh, so that's another thing that I really enjoyed about it was breaking stereotypes left and right. Because guys would come in there and be like, so like, asking really stupid questions, and you're like, yeah, like I'm a person. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they just think like you're this character in a place where they go, and it's like you're just this very one-dimensional.
Yep.
Or like you're only there because something bad or you're in a dire situation. It's like, no, I'm actually a businesswoman and I make a lot of money and I'm just really smart.
Yeah.
And I like it.
Yeah.
So, and also the age thing. Every time I said my age, they were just like, no way. And I'm just like, yeah, it's true. So that was just fun.
Yeah.
It was a fun way to make money. I remember at one point, like in 1 week, I like worked a couple days, and then I went out and saw Post Malone in concert, and then I went to a strip club with some friends for some fun, like a different one. And on all that time, I made like, however many $1,000. And I was like, I get paid to party. Like, this is amazing. So
that sounds awesome.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, don't knock it till you try it.
No, absolutely not. So at Marilee Rose 1 on Instagram, and then wildrosephotography.com, or wait,
I don't even know what it is. It's on
wildrosephotography.com on the web, and then wildrose.photography.kc on Instagram.
We'll see how to use the periods, because if something's taken.
Yes. Is there anything else that you want to plug?
I will say the Airbnb is coming this summer.
Cool.
But, that's not here yet, so I can't give you anything.
Right. Thank goodness. I'll take the cold and the snow and the winter all day, every day over 99 degrees and
really? Oh, man.
Not that I don't like going to warm, tropical, whatever, beachy place. Like, I love that. But where I live, like, I can always throw on a heater or another layer of clothes when the heat's oppressive.
I like it. Hey, I was born in the desert.
Yeah, there you go.
In Vegas.
There you go.
No.
Airbnb coming this summer.
Yes, Airbnb. Check that out.
Cool.
That's what's going to be cool.
Nice.
Coming up.
Is there anything that you had hoped that we would cover that we did not?
Blair, you were very thorough. I'm very pleased with everything.
Good.
It's been super fun.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, you really like dive in deep, and you have good recollection. So like something I might have said 30 minutes ago, you're able to pop it off like that.
Not all the time. I don't bat 1,000.
It's still pretty good.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Thanks.
good. So I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And
no,
we went through these amazingly.
Cool.
Like I got to like shout out some more songs and albums that mean a lot to me, and I think that's all I hoped for.
So 160 is scheduled to be out this week, so you wouldn't be next week, but the week after.
Wow, that's a quick turnaround.
Right now, I mean, it's been different. It's looked different a bunch of different times, but when all the stuff is ready, I'll send it to you. In the meantime, I need whatever you want your episode's thumbnail to be.
Ooh.
A picture of you or a business logo.
I thought you just picked one.
I do if I tell you that I'm gonna ask you, and then I ask you, and then I don't hear from you, and I got to get it up.
Oh,
then
okay,
then I got to go snoop on your stuff.
That's fine.
And take something, but I would rather the person choose. So if it works that way, great. If it doesn't, then I'm gonna stalk your stuff and pick something that looks good.
All right.
So, but it was
your stuff looks really good. So
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. It was really nice to meet you. I appreciate a good chunk of your Tuesday with as many things as you already have on your plate. So thanks for doing it, and talk to you soon.
If it's on the calendar, I'm here.
There you go.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That was so fun.
Good.
Oh, shit.